For this next series, I'm going to be exploring, in particular, the details of the various changes to the seal sizes, shapes, colors, and also serial number colors of the series of 1880. So this is going to be presented, therefore, in a strict chronological sequence here. We will start actually in the era of Schofield-Gilfillan, which actually this combination of treasurer and register of the Treasury starts in 1878 and goes well into 1881. And up until the series of 1880, which I'm going to assume starts somewhere early in 1880, the grade here means these are just guesses. The previous still has the red small points. Then we move to the brown large with points. And we pass through Bruce Gilfillan and then Bruce Wyman. And then somewhere in the Bruce Wyman period, we switch to a red design of seal. And with that also a different color of the serial numbers. And this will continue through a few names. And then we get to Rosecrans Hyatt, and it starts there. And then we go to a different design, a large red that is spiked. And then also a Rosecrans Huston. Okay, that will start with that sequence and then move to a large brown again, the same as before. And then into the phase of Rosecrans Nebaker. And then finally, during that time, we switched back to the red and a small and now have the scallop design. So let us move through this sequence and then you can see what I mean. Now, so here is from 1879. We saw this in the previous video. It had a small red seal, red serial numbers, and in this design, still 1878, it had this other red decoration. And we'd seen the backs of these, and we can look at that again and say, yeah, that's that. Okay. Now, on one other thing, it's not a United States note, but it is something that I thought would be kind of interesting to see, is the refunding certificate. It has a blue serial number, interestingly enough, but it has a red seal. It's small in size, or at least as small as the other one had been. A shape similar to that we will be seeing in the brown seals of the second charter or brownback national bank notes, and actually much more identical to a seal seen in the green color in one of the fractional notes. But it still has Schofield. Now they've got the register on the bottom instead of the left, and Gilfillan as the treasurer on the top. So this is still the era of Schofield and Gilfillan, but we're still in the year of 1879. So as long as we're looking at a funding certificate, here we go. Certificate of deposit, $10. Interest on this note will accrue as followed. For each day, each quarter, a cent. For each quarter year, 10 cents. For each entire year, 40 cents. So, United States. That's kind of neat. Yeah, black ink on the back. Cool. Okay. But now we cross into series year of 1880. Now, as you can see, we still have Schofield and Gilfillan, but now that we're in series 1880, we move into a big brown seal with spikes. The artwork has gotten a bit simpler. There's reds. The seals are still red, and there we go. Well, maybe that's Columbus sighting land because they're on a ship. I don't know what else they would be. Anyway, George Washington still on there. United States note. This note is a legal tender for $1. And on the other side, the famous sawhorse design. And the usual, this note is a legal tender at its face value for all debts, public and private, except duties on imports and interest on the public debt. And then again, the usual blurb about counterfeiting. It's still, look at that, Columbian banknote is still printing the reverse. Interesting. That's probably about all they're doing at this point. Now, here we have another view. This is also Schofield and Gilfillan. It's just the $2. Same basic idea. Red seals, big brown seal with spikes. Okay, so that's how that looks. And on the other side, okay, this thing looks the same. Now it's got series of 1880 on the back. Interesting. Printed at Bureau of Engraving and Printing, Treasury Department. Okay. Now, we move over to the next one. Schofield is now replaced with Bruce, but Gilfillan is still there, and the seal is still brown, and the serial numbers are still red. And it will remain series of 1880 for the remainder of this whole series, no matter what the denomination. We've got Jackson on the $5, legal tender for $5, United States note. And we have here, United States of America, well, Colombian Banknote Company, Washington, D.C. Interestingly, that's still there. Okay, but that's how that goes. Now, we can already move on to the next one, which is Bruce and Gilfillan. Oh, this is still Bruce and Gilfillan. Okay. Just another denomination. This is how the $10 looks. So that looks like maybe the presentation of Pocahontas. And that's Daniel Webster. And the United States note. It's a legal tender for $10. Oh, what is this? Engraved and printed at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Interesting. Okay. And the back of it looks like this. Series of 1880. All right. Now we get to move to the next one, which is now Bruce and Wyman. Again, the big brown seal continues with the red serial numbers. This is another $1, so it's all the same imagery we've seen on here. Series of 1880. The United States will pay to bearer $1, Washington, D.C. And there it is. Okay, same sawhorse design, and so on. Okay, then we get to the next part. This is the next denomination. Still Bruce and Wyman, still in the brown seal era. Now we have Thomas Jefferson over here. A very interesting close-up of the Capitol building. And still the big brown seals, red serial numbers. An interesting little thing after the 6 is just something they put on this. It is not like a star note or anything special of that sort. So this is the back of it, like all the other $2 bills of this series. Now, moving on. Oh, we have a few more here. We're still in Bruce and Wyman, only now we're looking at the $5 bill. And it too has a big brown seal and red seal numbers. Now, during the era of Bruce and Wyman, however, we then switch to the brown seal with only with no, it's plain, no points or anything. It's still big. It's now red, and when that went red, the serial numbers went to blue. So this changes how that looks. But there's our wood chopper and our Jackson, all those as they always are. All right, and this is still the same as for all of these. Okay, and here we continue. Now we place, oh, it's still Bruce and Wyman. Okay, that's right. So this is Alexander Hamilton in profile view, and a symbol for liberty. And again, the plain big red seal and the blue serial numbers. So, and once again, well, no, now we've replaced Bruce with Rosencrantz, and also the Wyman Well, first we replaced Wyman with Jordan. There is a very brief time of the signatures of Bruce and Jordan. Apparently, none of the legal tender notes have that combination of signatures. It lasted for only a month. Then we get Rosecrans and Jordan, but no changes to the seals or the serials or anything else. Just big round seal and Jackson there, as usual for your $5 United States notes. Now we move on to Rosecrans and Hyatt, and this is still the style: a big round seal, plain, nothing on it, unadorned, and that seems to work just fine. And there we are, the usual reverse. Oh, now series of 1880 has become this tiny thing you see in here. Okay, but it's still all series of 1880. And here we go again, Rosecrans and Hyatt. There's another denomination. Same thing, big plain red seal. And Webster here. Okay, and the usual look for our $10. Again, now series of 1880 has been moved in there. Printed by the Bureau of Printing, Engraving and Printing. Okay. Now, later on, during the time of Rosecrans and Hyatt, we now move to the pointy red, big red seal. But the serial numbers remain blue, and in fact, they're going to do that for the rest of this display. All right, now, the next thing we get to, okay, we move into the signatures of Rosecrans and Huston, and the pointy big red seal is still what it looks like. And once again, there's our blue serial numbers. The back is our usual sawhorse, and also series of 1880 has moved into that, but that's about the only change you have there. And then we get to see Rosecrans and Huston also pointed here. There's a $2. In fact, we'll have a couple more like this. This is the same as all of these, only again, series of 1880 has moved into that white space. We have a 5. This is also Rosecrans and Huston, big red pointy seal. This is all in the same era as the other two before this. And the usual reverse for the $5. Then, during Rosecrans and Huston, wait a minute, did we go to Huston? Yeah, we did. Not Hyatt anymore, but Huston. Okay. Alright, we got red with Hyatt. Okay. And we went into Huston with a pointy. Yeah, okay. And now, Rosecrans and Huston. Now back to the brown. And again, pretty much the same look. That gets moved around a little in there, but it's the same thing. Okay. And finally here, we're getting on to another Rosecrans and Huston, a big brown seal. We've gone to that. And we have a 5. And also, as you'll see here, Rosecrans, Huston, big brown seal, blue serial numbers, series of 1880, United States notes, legal tender for $5, our usual wood chopper, and Jackson, president. And there's the back, as they have looked for a while. Here we even have a $20, just to expand this a little bit. So there's Alexander Hamilton, Liberty, Rosecrans and Huston, a big brown seal, and the usual reverse for the $20. And then we get here. Now we go to Rosecrans and Nebaker. We still have the big brown seal with spikes, the blue serial numbers, and so forth. And apparently most of the notes with that signature combination and a brown seal, a number of them are either non-existent or very rare. The $5 are the only ones that's fairly reasonable, I think, or at least what I was able to find. Finally, during Rosecrans and Nebuchadnezzar, we switch back to the red seal, and furthermore, the scallop design that becomes famously what is seen. But the rest of the design has basically remained the same. Serial numbers are still blue. That change will come later on. We'll deal with that in the next installment. So, and we can also see a $5. Same basic thing, Rosecrans, Nebuchadnezzar. From this point, all United States notes or legal tender notes will have seals that are red, and that does not change for as long as the type of money remains. And so that's how we covered that. And now I don't know the reasons for these changes. All I have done here is document the sequence. So you can kind of see it here, taking it from Schofield, Gilfillan, where it first goes to Brown during their time together. Bruce Gilfillan is just Brown. Bruce Wyman, it starts Brown, and then switches to red, a big, large, plain red seal. It's that way for Bruce Jordan, and if Rosecrans Jordan had made any, it would have looked the same so far as we can tell, but there aren't any. And then clear into Rosecrans Hyatt, it's still big, large, red, and plain. And then, in the midst of Rosecrans Hyatt, they switched to red, large, spiked seals, but still red. And then we go to the Rosecrans Huston, and the big, large, red, spiked red seal continues for a bit until it switches to the big brown with points. And then in that status, it continues to Rosecrans Nebuchadnezzar for a bit, and we're coming into the 1890s, and finally it turns to the red, small, scalloped, somewhere vaguely in the middle of Rosecrans Nebuchadnezzar, and things would be red and small for this particular kind of money for the remainder of its existence, even in the small-sized notes. So there's our picture there, and anyone is welcome to study that or freeze on that. And there's the whole sequence right there.